They only deepfake the women, which isn't fair. Hey everyone, and welcome to Inside Gaming Daily for Thursday. Here's a weird story for you in case your day was a little too normal. Apparently Activision Blizzard is really interested in its employees' pregnancies. Why? So it can buy the right clothes for the baby shower, a blue onesie or a pink onesie? Hey, that's gender normative. We don't do that anymore. Now it's just yellow for everybody. Well, it might be a little more cold-blooded than that. Apparently the publisher is paying its employees $1 a day to use an app that tracks their pregnancies. Now we have weird images of Activision rubbing their hands together saying, yes, tell me more about your contractions. Your ankles, they must be so plump right now. Anyway, Brian, what the hell's going on right now? Please make this less weird. I just spit on myself. Are you there?
And you made it even weirder. Anyway, this all came to light in a recent story by the Washington Post about a pregnancy tracking app which is called Ovia. In the story, they talked to Activision employee Diana Diller, who is an event planner there. She was quoted about how she used Ovia during her pregnancy to record stuff like bodily functions, her sex drive, that's weird, her mood, and medications that she was taking during her pregnancy.
Ooh, I just peed a little. I should track that probably.
Tell them what color it was, yeah.
Brown? Is that bad? The app Ovia is apparently used by millions of women to track their pregnancies, but if you're an employer, you can also pay the app to get access to that sweet, sweet prego information. It's aggregated and anonymous, but businesses naturally are interested in when those employees will get back to work. These events aren't gonna plan themselves, Diana. Diller also said that she got some amount of compensation for this, right, Brian?
Yeah, she got paid a whole $1 a day in gift cards just for giving up all her private information. So I guess she really likes Applebee's. She said she saw it as positive reinforcement and said, they're trying to help me take care of myself, which seems like a rosy view of her employer.
So sometimes that is true. There are a lot of companies that will provide health and wellness incentives. Basically, like if you complete these fitness tasks, if you go to the gym, if you walk a mile, and they use your fitness tracker to track it, then they'll pay money into a savings account that's used for deductibles, something like an FSA. So theoretically, everyone wins in that situation. In this situation, Brian's right. She got like 2 Subway footlongs a month for telling a company about her sex drive.
I think that's how she got pregnant. Oh!
While Diller said she had a good experience, this has raised a bunch of privacy concerns about how much your employer should know about your health and medical history. Maybe Activision just wants to make sure their 10 remaining employees are as productive as possible. Booyah! Just laid them all off. They're not pregnant. Anyway, Activision says that it strictly controls who can see the data, and Ovia says it complies with privacy laws because there aren't any, so it's pretty easy to comply with them, Ovia. Milt Ezzard, Activision's vice president of global benefits, told the Washington Post that they've heard privacy concerns from employees over the years. In 2014, they started offering incentives for employees who used a Fitbit to track their personal activity, like we just said. So if you hit 15,000 steps every day, you'll be the last one to get laid off. Boom, got him again. You're savage today, Brian. Something about childbirth just really lights you up. But Ezzard said over time, their employees have accepted the trade-off because you can basically massage a group of people into doing anything if you give them a gift card now and then. What did he go on to say?
Well, he stressed that it's all voluntary, and nowadays, their employees' reaction has gone from, hey, Activision Blizzard is Big Brother, to, hey, Activision Blizzard really is bringing me tools that can help me out. That sounds like a really realistic quote that someone definitely said.
I'm just so motivated by Activision and Blizzard's health and wellness plans. They understand me as an individual human being. Welcome to America. They should make a video game about this.
Track your cervical mucus.
Ugh.
When they show you the afterbirth, it looks like a big Metroid.
I assumed it was more like chunky soup, so it's all one thing. What happens if it gets stuck halfway out like a dog that ate a paper bag? You gotta like grab it and yank it? Obviously, since this is Activision, the story has made the rounds on gaming media too. It's always fun when games media kind of gets elevated into talking about things that are actually important. Kotaku contacted Activision for comment, but didn't hear back, naturally. An Ovia spokesperson said that employers don't see personal information, just percentage-based aggregate data. Yeah, employees are paying for this access, and they're not doing it out of the goodness of their hearts. Companies typically don't pay money just to do nice things for people. It's all to make sure you're more productive and maybe some other nefarious ends. We don't know why, specifically because we're not Activision Blizzard. Speaking of Activision Blizzard, Ezzard said something about this, right?
He said, quote, I want them to have a healthy baby because it's great for our business experience, rather than having a baby who's in the neonatal ICU where she's not able to focus much on work. So quit thinking about your sick baby and get back to making video games.
If you think Activision Blizzard's the only company doing this, think again. The truth is we're way further into a cyberpunk dystopia than a lot of people think. This has been going on for years now as companies, technologies like apps and wearables, as little virtual trackers on all their employees. This move to monitor employees' health started a few years ago, actually, and guess what? It's driven by investors because that saves the company money and theoretically gets people to work harder. Stockholders have been pushing for this monitoring because healthier employers are more productive and cost the company less money, so it's not altruism.
I think they're pitching it as like a win-win situation. You you get to be healthier, the company gets more production out of you, but there is a more darker side to all this, and that would be that companies could maybe figure out who's pregnant and sideline you, or maybe cut your benefits if they know ahead of time you might have a difficult pregnancy, to really screw you when it comes time to collect on their insurance plan, so it's less money for them to pay out. So it's definitely not as rosy as they painted.
There's a lack of regulation in this area that lets companies hide behind claims that everything is anonymous, because it kind of isn't. Indiana University law professor Nicholas Terry said that all of these anonymity claims don't do much to keep companies from narrowing it down. He said, quote, "You might as well put employees' pictures on a bulletin board." He added, quote, "There is almost no law that controls what data these big data companies can access. There isn't much law controlling what they can do with it." So yeah, the anonymity thing kind of seems like a shield where, like Brian said, a company can move you from team to team because of what your big data says about you or what your genetics say about you, and then they can say, well, it's anonymous, we didn't make that decision because of that. At the end of the day, a lot of this is big employers like Activision trying to manage risk, because pregnancies can be very costly to their insurance plans. This goes on to a lot of other companies, right, Brian?
Yeah, a few years back, AOL CEO Tim Armstrong made some very infamous comments where he kind of blamed cuts to their 401k on two specific women who had babies who had additional medical costs.
Oh my god, that's awesome. I guess that's when the afterbirth gets stuck halfway out. To try and cut down on these expenses, lots of companies are using big data to track pregnancies. There are analytics companies out there that do things like go through workers' medical claims, pharmacy orders, and even their search queries to see if they're pregnant. One of these companies, Castlight Health, works with employers like Walmart and Time Warner, two of the most socially conscious companies we can think of. Speaking of social consciousness, Facebook was in talks with big hospitals to share their data about patients for a research project. The research project is we can target people more effectively and serve them ads that are just beyond creepy. So there are a lot of companies out there that are very interested in your medical history, and there's not a lot of laws protecting you. There are laws that prohibit discrimination against pregnant employees. Apparently it's A-okay to track them like this, at least in the US. Next, they'll put cameras in our bedroom, see how often we're doing it, and give us ratings. I can't wait.
Do you call that doggy style? No gift card for you this month. It's unclear if any other big gaming companies are doing something similar to this, but if they're a big corporation like Activision, it is definitely possible because this is a trend. It would probably be naive to think that Activision is the only one doing it.
Absolutely. This is just the world we live in now. The whole twist up about Epic Game Stores sharing your data and stuff. Come on, man. If you made a Facebook account, you made that decision years ago. Hell, at least when I got into being the world's premier games journalist, I knew that I was trading my life away to sweet lady video games. Wake up, sheeple. There. That's what a real games journalist says.
Hold down even more on what works, because times aren't that great at the publisher.
Yeah, after hitting an all-time high in September when I bought and reporting record revenues last year, the company's stock price has dropped to about half that, and I'm still there.
Are you on the investor calls?
I'm not on the calls. I could be if I wanted to.
They're public. You can join them.
Yeah.
I just don't want to see Bruce shouting like, "Hey, where's my